Today's RPG Etude is a study in tribute. Now, you may think that I will launch into a tribute of Hackmaster 4th Edition, which in itself is a tribute to the elder days of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, an alternate imagining of where that game could have gone. But nay, this video is not about that, nor is it a tribute to any other role playing games. Instead, I'd like to talk about the practice of tribute in the classical, ancient, medieval world and what this can mean as far as an element of gameplay in many of our campaigns. And I should take this off because it's not like I need to hear anyone right now. I'm just talking to you. This video is a tribute to RPGaDAY, to the community, and to the closer community of followers that I have. But what is tribute in that ancient sense that I mentioned? Well, it's often a means of showing the value that one kingdom or hold has to another. It's a way of saying, please don't make war on me. It would cost you money. And look at this treasure chest that I'm sending you instead. It can also be a mark of admiration, a show of interface between two peoples, between two countries. A tribute is not necessarily something of monetary value. It may be something of cultural merit instead. And one of the interesting components of that is in the realm of science fiction, the optimistic, utopian science fiction of Star Trek, especially. And one thing that I want to imagine is cultural exchange. A long time ago, I was developing a Star Trek campaign before Star Trek Adventures even released, and I zeroed in on this particular era within the history of the timeline, Prime Universe, in which I imagined that there was a alternate federation, a first federation, if you will, a long-standing alliance of worlds, which was not the United Federation of Planets, which was somewhat distant, and it included Beta Z and Trill and some of the next generation species that we had yet to see in the era of the original series or the Monster Maroons. And so I imagine a campaign shortly after Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, where a nascent alliance was building, and these two peaceful alliances of species were beginning to coalesce and decide to merge. And all of the commerce that would take place in between them, much of the exchange of ideas, would require people offering tribute. When you think of Cisco's restaurant and the way of preparing seafood that is peculiar to certain parts of Earth, and how that might be something worth sharing with other cultures, when you think of how lovely some people regard Betazoid weddings, how is it that these memes of these different cultures became known to one another, familiar, and even in some cases appropriated unto one another until there's this unitary feeling that the Federation is one root beer culture? How does that happen? Well, I think it happens through tribute, the innocuous, beneficent, peaceful kind, not extortion. But let me point out to you that there's now a Star Trek role-playing game about Klingons, where a tribute can be a matter of honor, offering a noble tribute to one's liege, for example, or demanding tribute from subjects who refuse to come to heel, or it could be that tribute has not been honored as it is offered. It could be that it's been stolen or otherwise insulted, and it needs to be lifted back up before the aggrieved party begins to take umbrage. These are stories of honor. These are stories of finding the fine line between war and peace, which is what tribute was used for during ages before our own, hopefully more diplomatic one that we live in. Have you ever used tribute? Particularly the idea of a message, something of value and personal that might be shared between two noble houses, between two kingdoms. That sort of communication which is done in the form of something which actually costs as a show of earnest. Because I think it's really been a huge boon to some of my thinking in Harn campaigns as well, because it shows the stakes in a very real fashion. It shows the stakes in the sense that this could be the difference between starvation and life for an entire village of families. This golden statue or idol which is being offered in tribute to the high sea of Peony in Traerzon. And yet the king of Kaldor has seen fit to offer this tribute instead of use that same money to perhaps dig a new channel for a river which could stem the floods which are rendering some manors of his vassals uninhabitable. The choice. Where does the money go, and how does it get concentrated into these trusts, these really strong objects of value, these tributes? What's the saga there? And what kind of adventure lies when these things fall to bandits, to pirates, or simply fall into a river? It's the stuff of adventure and something to contemplate. For now, I wish you a happy gaming August. I'm the Complex Games Apologist. We'll be back with more of the 31 RPG Etudes soon.